In this video, we're going to talk about future tenses. We'll talk first a little bit about the form, how we make the verb tense, and then we will talk about the function, how we use the verb tense. So we'll start with future tense, and there's actually two forms of the future tense. We'll talk about each one a little bit and why we use one and not the other. So the first one that we're going to talk about is will. Using will for the future tense. So will is our helping word, and the main verb is just simple stuff. Will as our helping verb for future tense. So let's do an example. Affirmative sentences look a lot like our other verb tenses. We start with the subject and the helping verb, the main verb, and then the object. So for example, if I say I, would be my subject, and then my helping verb is will. I will. And then I will. So that is the form for will. And now we're going to take a look at the form for the going to, which is the other form of the future tense that we use. So we can start off in the same way that we do subject, helping verb, and object for an affirmative sentence. And so I might get something. The subject, be verb is going to be either am, is, or are. So if I say subject, is, be, we want to make it a negative sentence, we'll start again with the subject and our helping verb, not, main verb, and an object. So this is to make a negative sentence. And then our subject sentence is something kind of like this. We start with the subject be, and then our helping verb he is, and then not, he is not going to take a vacation. If we, and here of course if you want to, you can make it contract into isn't. Same thing with aren't. I can also use aren't as a contraction. Now if I do yes or no question, I'll start this time with the helping verb, then the subject, then the main verb, and then my object. And we'll do yes or no question. So I might say something like is he going to take a vacation? And then my answer is either yes or no. And so I can say yes, he is. Use my helping verb there. Or no, he is. And I use the contracted form with the negative. In WH questions, the word order stays the same. I just found that WH word at the beginning. To start with my WH word, and helping verb, subject, main verb, and object to make my WH question. And then I get my information answer. So I might say something like this there. And then I start with my helping verb. There is he going to take my main verb, a vacation. The answer would be some kind of information like he's going to take a vacation in Hawaii. Okay, so that's the form of future tenses with be going to. Now let's talk about the function. How do we use future tense? When do we use future tense? So first let's talk a little bit of will and be going to. When do I use one and when do I use the other? Well, sometimes we actually use them for the same function. So if I am making a prediction about the future, in other words, if I'm just saying what I think will happen in the future, I can use both. And there's really no difference in meaning. So, for example, if I say, tomorrow, or it will rain tomorrow, both have the same meaning. So if you are making a prediction about the future, you can use either will or be going to, and there is no difference in meaning. However, there are some instances where there is a difference in meaning, and where we would only use will and where we would only use be going to. So, for example, if I have prior plans, for prior plans I only use be going to. Now, what does that mean? Prior, that means before. Prior means that something happens before. And a plan is something that you decide to do, something that you make plans for. You think about it, you do research. So anytime I'm talking about a future event, and it's something that I thought about before and that I planned, I'm going to use be going to. So for example, think about this. I might say something like, we are going to take a vacation this summer. Right? Most of the time, I think about a vacation, I plan it, I do research, I make reservations, I just have to take time off work, decide when I'm going. So that's going to be an example of a prior plan. And that means I want to use be going to instead of will. So I wouldn't say we will take a vacation that summer. That's a little awkward. That really doesn't work. So the preferred form here for prior plans, be going to. The next time when you might use the future tense is to talk about a quick decision. And basically what this means, a quick decision means a decision that I make in the moment. Okay, so all of a sudden I notice something happens, and then I make a decision about the future in that moment. For example, let's say that I open up my refrigerator door. Use future tense is when I would make a promise. If I promise to do something in the future, and then when that happens, I use will. When I promise to do something, right? So, let's say that, the day that my husband asked me to marry him, he said, my husband said, "Will you?" I will. So I use will here because we're making a promise to each other. When we make a promise. A mother says, you have to clean up your room before you can go to soccer practice. And I will do it later, right? The child says, I will do it later. They're promising to do something. The next time when we might talk about the future would be when we're offering to help. So when we give our hearts to someone, we say that we will help them. In this case, we also use will when I offer to help. Let's say maybe somebody, my neighbor says, oh, I have to start packing up boxes because I'm moving next weekend. And I say, we use the future with different tenses. So we can also use simple present tense to talk about the future. We've talked about how we can use simple present tense to talk about routines, and we can use simple present tense to talk about facts. And that's kind of how we use it to talk about the future. So when we talk about something that is on a schedule, meaning that the times for something are already arranged, think like a train, a movie, class. Right? These have schedules that they follow, so we know they're going to occur at the same time every week or every day. We know they're going to happen always at the same time. And when that happens, and we're talking about the next occurrence, in other words, we're talking about the next time that something happens, that would be in the future. The next time that happens is the future. We can also use simple present tense to show that future, it is a scheduled event. We can also use present progressive to talk about the future. A lot of times this is very similar to using be going to talk about prior plans. So sometimes when we use present progressive, it would also be logical to use be going to. What becomes a little bit different is that usually it's an event that's in the near future. It's going to happen very soon, and usually we say the time when it's going to happen. So for example, I might say something like, we are going to meet at, oops, no, that is be going to. So we are meeting at the restaurant So this is a future event. I'm using present progressive. I'm mentioning the time that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. So it is a prior plan. It is kind of similar to using be going to, but it's going to happen very soon, and I usually mention the time that it's going to happen. And then one more thing about future tense is the use of future time clauses. Future time clauses use words like after, before, when, as soon as, until. There's more. Those are just a few examples. But when we use these time words, and we use them with a clause, we're showing that an event is happening in the future. You can think of it this way. The time word that I'm using already tells me that the event is happening in the future, so I don't need to use future tense in my verb. So what happens is in the time clause, I actually use simple present tense. And then in the independent clause, I use future tense. So I might say something like this. After she graduates, she is going to celebrate. So here I have graduates, simple present tense with my time clause, and then is going to celebrate with my future clause. So just something to keep in mind, that even though we're talking about the future with these time clauses, we use simple present tense. And then in the independent clause that it's connected to, we do actually use future tense. But in the time clause, simple present tense. All right, that is it for future tense. Forward to talking to you in the next video.